We are just 11 days away from Alabama taking the field against Florida State, and I want to get to 27,000 subscribers before we get there. We're only 181 new subscribers away from hitting that goal, so help me out. Hit that sub button right now. We're going to be live for every single Alabama football game, and we'll continue to keep you guys updated on all things Crimson Tide news. So come join us during our Alabama football watch parties. Hit that sub button for me right now. All right, coming up on today's show, we are breaking down some of the latest news and rumors out there from Alabama's most recent practices, including who is actually out there leading Alabama's running back room with Jam Miller out for the first couple of games of the season. Also, want to break down some, in my opinion, some concerning injuries on this Alabama team right now. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe I'm tripping. Maybe I'm just absolutely paranoid, but we're going to break it all down here on today's show. Before we get into some of those injuries, though, I first want to touch on these running backs here. Just looking at this Alabama running back room, this is pretty much, the lineup, what multiple media members put out there today, just going to Alabama's practice earlier, about who is actually in those running back lineups and kind of how things sit. So basically, there were two different groups of Alabama running backs today in terms of the order that they were going in. And I think the most notable thing here is Richard Young and Daniel Hill were the first two guys leading both of those running back groups. And then you have Dre Washington and Kevin Riley kind of switching out there for that 3-spot, 4-spot. Might not mean anything. Maybe they're just trying to get Kevin Riley a little bit more love, get him some more reps as well. Now, this was with the individual drills and things like that, but I do think it's telling that Richard Young was the first running back for both of those two different drills there. Daniel Hill was the second running back for that, and then kind of after that, they're both testing and swapping in and out Dre Washington and Kevin Riley. Now, after Alabama's practice today, Ryan Grubb talked to Alabama media, and they basically asked him about every single running back and what he's seen from each guy. And Ryan Grubb obliged, kind of answering about each running back here. First off, he was asked about which running back is basically going to be the lead running back and how they're going to divvy up some of those reps. He said, we got to see a lot here in the next week or so to see who can handle the game plan and who is most responsible with all of their duties out there. He then goes to talk about each running back individually, starting here with Daniel Hill, saying Daniel Hill has done a really good job providing a lot of protection, and I think he has gotten a lot better at that. As far as with his eyes, he's a super physical guy. I think Daniel has started to run like the back that we saw him in the spring. Earlier in camp, I thought he was a little bit slow to come to that. He then goes to Dre Washington, saying Dre has really good vision running the football. He improves every single day. I think some of the pass protection responsibilities are things that probably were not in his wheelhouse prior to getting here. So we'll talk about that pass protection stuff here in just a second. He also talked about Kevin Riley a little bit, saying Kevin Riley started to show up a little bit. He is a guy that has really nice vision, not as big of a back as the other guys, but runs very physical and is really good out of the backfield. And last but certainly not least, he talked about Richard Young as well, saying Rich has been super physical and has been a guy the last two scrimmages that I thought when we needed a little bit of spark to pop a run right up the middle and finish it, he's done a really good job. He's worked really hard to become a better player out of the backfield, has gotten better at that, very responsible. He cares a lot. He's very tough, physical, and we love him a lot. Certainly love to hear all those things about all the running backs there. So I want to hear from you guys down at the pinned comment of today's video. Who do you guys think will be the starting running back for Alabama for the first game of the season? Pretty much who goes out there first for the running backs this year? Let me know what you guys think down at the pinned comment of today's video. Now, we've been wondering for a while now who is actually going to be that running back 2 behind Jam Miller going into this season. And, he's going to miss the first couple of games of the year, and that process now to see who is going to be that second string running back has now been expedited, because now that guy is actually going to be the first team running back. I think Daniel Hill, Dre Washington, Richard Young are all, guys in the mix right now that can be the lead back for this season this year. But, whoever shows the most consistency in that pass protection, I think is going to be the guy who ends up getting that starting job for Alabama while Jam Miller is out. And I think the hope right now is that Jam Miller is going to be back in time for that game versus Georgia. So we'll see which one of those guys actually goes out to be that first running back for Alabama. But I do think it is going to come down to who is actually the best pass protector for Alabama this season. All right, we'll continue here in just a second. But first, I want to give a shout out to our friends over at Prize Picks. Preseason football is underway and college football is also back. So don't miss any of the action this season on Prize Picks. I personally use Prize Picks for a ton of different sporting events, whether it's professional football, baseball, basketball, college sports, and more. Prize Picks is so much fun. And if you guys know ball, you can win real money all season long as well. Prize Picks also has these freebies that they do a lot of the time here. This one you definitely have to add to your Prize Picks lineup. It is Dak Prescott, only a half passing yard. That one's easy. As long as he plays, he's definitely going to get that, unless, God forbid, he goes out there and pulls an Aaron Rodgers and, gets hurt on the first drive of the season. So hopefully that doesn't happen, and hopefully you add this to your Prize Picks slate. It is the NFL Max discount, so make sure you guys get those freebies into your Prize Picks lineup. Prize Picks is simple to play. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and if you get your picks right, you could cash in and win up to 2,000 times your money today. Prize Picks also invented the flex play, which means you can cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks does not hit. So download the Prize Picks app today and use promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. One more time for you guys. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That link is down in the description of today's video. It's also going to be in the comment section at the pinned comment of today's video as well. It's Prize Picks. Run your game. All right, let's get to some of these injury concerns, whatever you want to call it here. It kind of does concern me a little bit here. Danny Lewis Jr. and Josh Cuevas are still working by themselves during individual drills. Now, when they asked Ryan Grubb earlier, he basically said that it's not a concern for those guys. But the fact that we are 10 days away now and these guys still are just going through, individual drills by themselves and not with the team does make me a little bit, or with the position group anyways, does make me a little bit nervous. Josh Cuevas and Danny Lewis Jr. are supposed to be your top two guys at that tight end position this year. And as of right now, Marshall Pritchett and Caleb Edwards are the first two guys in those individual lineups right now, followed by Jay Lindsey and then Brody Dalton, Jack Samarco, and then the walk-ons behind them. This is what Clint Lamb said today during his post-practice roundup and what he wrote for A to Z Sports. He said, Josh Cuevas looked fine on the surface, but Danny Lewis Jr. was clearly hobbling while having both ankles heavily wrapped. This is likely why you've heard a lot about guys getting reps with the first team in scrimmages. But with that being said, I'll reemphasize that neither veteran tight end was in a black no-contact jersey, so likely they are just limited. So Ryan Grubb kind of was also asked about the limitations at that tight end spot right now, and he said, the guys are out there. They're practicing, so to me, they are 100%. They don't have the yellow jersey on. They are rolling. I think they are both repping quite a bit, honestly. At one point, they were only getting 20 reps. They've went way past that, where I feel like there's not any limitations for those guys right now. So we'll kind of get into it a little bit more here in just a second, kind of what I think about these injuries, and then one more that we're working through as well. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments section of today's show. Will Josh Cuevas and Danny Lewis Jr. both be ready for the start of the season. Like I said, we are only 10, 11 days away now. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. Type Y for yes or N for no. Now, Ryan Grubb was also asked about Kaydn Proctor and kind of where he's at in terms of coming back from that shoulder surgery that he had. I mean, that was back before the springtime at this point. He said he's getting there. He's getting stronger. He's getting there. I think there is quite a bit of catching up early in camp because he wasn't there during spring ball. So we're working on sustainability with him, staying on the field, just being in great shape. Now, maybe I'm reading into this a little bit too much. Maybe I'm a little bit paranoid. But the fact that Ryan Grubb is saying that Kaydn Proctor is just getting there worries the hell out of me right now. You know, the staff has kind of been known to not necessarily tell us the full truth about some of these injuries. You go back to last season with Jaden Roberts, him going in and out of the lineup, but then, you know, he wasn't ever listed on the injury report. You also think about Justice Haynes. They said that, you know, he was dealing with some stuff last year, but never listed him on the injury report either throughout the week. And then he would just go out there and get maybe one carry throughout the game. To me, that seems a little bit more than just being banged up a little bit. You know, same thing with the tight ends right now. You know, they've been telling us for the entirety of fall camp that Josh Cuevas and Danny Lewis Jr. are getting back and, you know, they're working their way back. But, you know, they haven't even been able to, you know, go out there and work with those individual drills. So to me, that does worry me. We're only 11 days away now from that Florida State game. So maybe I'm just being paranoid, but for Ryan Grubb to say Kaydn Proctor is getting there and he's not 100%, that does make me a little bit concerned.